Hi there, everyone. How you doing? It's Lee Stranahan. I have a strange life. I admit that. So, because I host a radio show every day that starts at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 3 p.m. Central, where I am in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, I don't have to be up for my job until the afternoon. And so, since I don't have to be, I'm not. I'm up all night. And coincidentally, that's handy because when it is late night here, for instance, now it's about 8 hours ahead in Moscow and in Ukraine, for instance. So, it's nearly noon. So I have an advantage of being able to be up in the middle of the night. I'm able to keep up with the news on the Ukraine war and find out what's going on while most people are sleeping. So when I get up, I'm actually prepared for my show. And I check in on the latest headlines and so on. But it's a strange life because I'm up all night and I'm staying in touch with Twitter and YouTube and everything else and keeping on top of events in the war. But I did a thread earlier, and you can find it on my Twitter feed. And I put a bunch of pictures in. And I'm going to talk to you about it because the reality of Nazis in the Ukraine is something that's easy to forget. I've been talking about Nazis in Ukraine for about 5 years on my radio show. 5 years ago, I was initially the lead investigative reporter at Breitbart News, and I was investigating Russiagate, and I noticed that Ukrainians kept appearing in the story everywhere, and I didn't understand it, and I didn't know anything about Ukraine. And so I saw a film called Ukraine on Fire, and that film taught me, if you haven't seen it, you really need to. It's a great film, executive produced by Oliver Stone, directed by Igor Lopatnik, and that film taught me about Ukraine. And it goes over the history of the Banderites and Stefan Bandera and relevant history. And so, because I've known this history for a long time, when Russia started talking about denazification, a lot of people were like, what? It made no sense to them. They pictured maybe Putin had seen Indiana Jones or something like that. Why is he obsessed with Nazis? And it made no sense to them. And maybe you're in that category. Maybe you've learned stuff since then. But I'm going to tell you that because I've been studying this a while, make a mistake, which is taking it for granted. So I'm going to go through something and dig, if you will, a picture. Picture this. You and your family decide to move someplace, to a small town in the country, in the middle of the vast countryside, and small city. Like I'm in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. It's a small city. And you and your family pack up the car, pack up all your possessions, and you head towards that town. And you stay at a hotel the first night because you don't have an apartment yet or a house. And when you wake up in the morning, you notice the streets are relatively empty. And then you see the townspeople making torches. Now, you'd be freaked out by that, wouldn't you? You'd go, what the fuck is going on? What is this place? They're making up the torches, and they're starting to dip them in gasoline. Then, that night, a large group of those people take to the street. And it looks something like this. Forget anything. There's no Nazi, only torches. You would wonder what the fuck you'd gotten yourself and your family into. You'd wonder, what kind of weird place is this? A place where people light torches and take to the streets in a parade. And it's normal. No one's acting weird about it. The news vans aren't out. And in fact, the local government seems to be supporting them, providing police to protect the marchers. And they all clear the streets. What would you think of the town you were in? Again, I've mentioned no Nazi stuff. Just townspeople with torches in the street. If you wouldn't think that that's weird, if that wouldn't frighten you, and thought that you moved your family to someplace weird, and you ask a local, well, what's going on here? Oh, what's all the people with torches? And they said, oh, this happens every year. This is January 1st. And they started pulling out a framed picture of a balding man. And you ask the townsperson, who's the bald dude that they have the giant picture of? And he said, oh, that's Stefan Bandera. Who was he? Well, he was a collaborator with the Nazis in World War II. And he was a sadistic killer who killed a lot of people. And they throw a parade in his honor. Because, see, people in this town, they identify their identity with him. They think that their identity is bound up in this guy. Tell me you wouldn't pack up the family, put them back in the car, and head out of town as quick as possible. I'll tell you what you wouldn't do. What you wouldn't do is, well, let me see. I wonder if there's a reason that they worship this guy. I wonder if there's a reason they pull the pitchforks out, the torches. You're expecting pitchforks. You wouldn't say to yourself, well, this is normal, because it's not normal. No one watching this, not one single town in America, does this happen every year. And if it did, it would be something out of a nightmare. And you'd wonder what was wrong with the people. You'd go, well, they seem normal, but then the torches come out and the pictures of the bald guy. That's what you'd say to yourself. The reality is this happens every January 1st in Ukraine, all over Ukraine, not in one city, all over. In Kiev, the pictures I'm showing are from Kiev, Ukraine, the central part of Ukraine. This is supposedly a moderate part of Ukraine. Ponder that. This isn't Western Ukraine, Lviv, where they're really Nazis. No, this is the moderate part. Doing a torch march with Nazi symbols and flags is not normal. It's a mind virus. It's a plague. Every European should be horrified by this. This is a country where this is normal. And what's happening is people normalize it. They go, well, that, there are Nazis everywhere. I guess if there's Nazis everywhere, then they're in Sioux Falls. And undoubtedly, I could find a person or two who's a Nazi. But what I can't find is the streets filling. Look at pictures. All you do is type in Ukraine Torch March. What isn't normal is the streets filling with those people. The streets filling. And with people on the sidewalk cheering them on. Because don't forget, a parade's an audience-driven event. They do the parade because people will watch them. And when at the Eurovision Song Contest, she says Slava Ukraine and does the Heil Hitler thing. What is wrong with people? Why are you acting like this is somehow normal? It's in no way normal. And it's not acceptable conduct for anyone in the world. It's weird. There's no equivalent. None. You know, there's not like in California. I lived in California. When I was in Pasadena, they didn't have Manson Day. On Manson's birthday, they celebrate Manson. And Manson didn't kill that many people. Banderas got a much higher body count. So stop and ponder the reality of this. And that some people out there put the flag of Ukraine in their avatar, acting like this is normal. This is not normal behavior. I think, did you ever read Shirley Jackson's The Lottery? The writer Shirley Jackson and the story of the lottery. You may have read it in school. That's another example where, or the Nicolas Cage film with the bees, The Wicker Man. This is that kind of nightmare scenario. Don't normalize this. Don't act like this is normal. Nowhere in the world but Ukraine. And if for no other reason, I stand with Russia. At least putting a stop to this. And even Israel, who's now on Ukraine's side, spoke out about this. And was like, what's going on? Why do they worship a Nazi and have a torchlight parade? Pay attention. When this happened in Charlottesville, no one said, no, I can't wait till next year's. It's a great event. And some of those Nazis in Charlottesville trained with the Nazis in Ukraine. Stop acting like this is any way normal. If you're opposed to Ukraine, good. You should be. You should be. So that's the thought that I had. So I'm going to let you go back to whatever you're doing. And I'm going to go lay down and read some more stuff. Anyway, hope you have a good night. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye. Oops. I'm hitting the wrong button. It'd be more impressive to watch.